Grateful that you could stay with us this morning. We are here to talk about benchmark values. I'm sure you've heard that a lot, especially in conversations with GUTA members and all, and their concerns about that. But we're not going into that today. We just want to help you understand what benchmark values are all about. I've been joined this morning by Principal Revenue Officer at the GRA's Customs Division, Bilson Jadab Atagba. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Good morning. First things first. Okay, we keep hearing benchmark values. What is the basic aim of this particular valuation agreement?
This valuation agreement, good morning once again, and good morning to our cherished viewers. The benchmark value is actually the agreement. You're talking of valuation agreements. Actually emanates from WCO or WTO, that's World Trade Organization, which talks of the processes that are involved in our valuation process. We are actually guided by this agreement to ensure fairness, uniformity, and neutrality among the trading public in the application of the rules, regulations, and laws, standards that govern valuation in all member countries of WTO. So in actual fact, we do that to sanitize the valuation system so that nobody does anything different from the other. We follow similar rules, regulations. So in effect, the WTO agreement is actually to ensure that some fairness, uniformity, and neutrality prevails in the trading community in the application of all these things.
Until recently, we were not hearing the benchmark value. So people are wondering what exactly it is and how does it work in practical terms. If I have goods and I bring them to the port, what exactly happens with the introduction of these benchmark values?
Benchmark value has actually been construed by the trading public, and especially some of you, the media personnel, like your presenters and the panelists presented some issues on benchmark this morning, that benchmark is supposed to be applicable to some selected or products, that is the discounts. They were talking about the discounts. But benchmark actually is a yardstick, it's a test value, it's kind of a guidance to test the reasonability of a value that has been declared by an importer. So you first of all have it as a list that has been compiled by a unit called the Risk Management Unit, which goes into all declarations to find out whether goods that have been declared and even cleared have declared the right value. By the right value, I mean the primary valuation method, which is the method 1 of WTO, which ensures that all goods declared must be the price paid or actually paid when imported into a country having been sold from the country of export and adjusted by Article 8 of the WTO. So in effect, that unit goes into the risk factors by using some of the risk indicators to find out the challenges, the undervaluations, the overvaluations, the misdescriptions, the misclassifications of all those declarations to find out who is deviating from the actual value that is supposed to be declared. So by that, we try to do that to bring the compliant, the non-compliant people to the level of the compliant people.
Most of the time when we hear the term being used, it's in the negative sense. But what are the benefits of benchmark values to the trading community and the customs administration?
Yes, it also has its positive issue. You know, the risk is, like I said, it is derived from the risk management unit. It's actually an impact on or upon the objective of any company or goal that one has set up. So, but mostly the risk is always associated with the negative impact. Now, the benefits to the trader is that, you know, locally, we want to encourage production of industries. Local production, government wants to encourage that. We have some tariff bans in the area of 35%. Those tariff bans are very difficult to import because of their high cost and the high duty that are payable. So some of these products, like water and the rest that are supposed can be produced here, will have to be encouraged. So that benefit of encouraging the local production of those items makes it so that you have to bring some fairness, uniformity to that trading public, so that nobody will import it lower than they are producing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then another one is to help facilitate trade for the trading public. Once it is used in alignment with what we have, there's no competitor who will come and complain about somebody, that somebody's his value is being accepted and somebody's own is being assessed high. So we put them in the same line so that at least they can all be in a fair playing field to be able to compete favorably.
So what's the difference between the transactional price database, national valuation database, and the benchmark values or reference price?
Yes. In fact, they all mean the same thing. The benchmark value, so-called by people, which we are now referring to as the reference price list. In fact, I will urge Joy News, Joy FM not to mention that word benchmark again. Mention reference price list because it's been misconstrued. So we will have it as a reference price list, which is an internal, an in-house built mechanism to just regulate our own system, to sanitize our own database. So that database, national database, reference price list, they are the same. Let me start from the database. The database is what we have as transaction price database that we have in our system. For instance, if you import something, your value will be in the system. If the other man to import anything, his value will also go into the system. So all those gathered data are there as our price reference list. So it is there. Then government or the authority by section 3 subsection 5 can also employ or get an assistance from a consultant to also build a database for us. That is what is called the National Data Valuation Database. Then the price reference list, the reference price list is what I mentioned, that we built from the risk unit that are having collated some risk profiles on importers, exporters, and other indicators that determine that those values are inaccurate. They are way, way below or way, way above what should have been declared.
Right. So, please continue. Because
WCO is ensuring that at least we accept everybody's value. That is the primary valuation method, method 1. So if everybody should be declaring the right value, we will not go this way. But in any case, we are using it to guide ourselves to ensure that everybody is in line.
So in other words, we are using the bench, well, you said we shouldn't say reference price list because there are people who are not putting the right value on the goods that they bring into the country. And so it's made it necessary for us to refer. So how do you determine, for example, if I'm an importer and I bring water or I bring an item to the port and I say, well, this is the value of it. How do you go through your reference price list and determine that I may be undervaluing my product?
You know, like I said, you are not the only competitor. You are not the only trader importing those goods. Somebody else would have imported from those same companies, same country, the same time, the same quantity, the same commercial level. They are all in there. Once you imported, all those things will be in our system. So when you come, we'll use different ways of trying to identify the risks. After identification of that risk, we'll analyze the risks. After analyzing that risk, we evaluate the risks. When we in evaluation, you see the deviation. Whether they are way, way deviated, that is why we give the 3 types of interventions, which are the green lane, the yellow lane, the red lane, and the blue lane. By the green lane, it means everything is right, you are perfect, you can just go away without examination. The yellow lane means that your document will be verified, just the document, no fiscal examination. It means somehow we are satisfied with your declaration. So we will allow you. But the red, which falls in the category of most certain likelihood or consequence of occurrence, it means that you are at risk. What you are declaring is not true. So by that, we need to do document verification and fiscal examination to reconcile your declaration. But the blue, which is the 4th one, means that you can be released. But having been released, you are still not free. Post-clearance units can take on your declarations and go into your records, come to your shop or come to your premises to inspect your books to ensure that what you have declared, having also done some research or investigations on your declarations. So by that, they will be able to get whether what you've declared is right. If it's not right, then that is also another source of gathering our information. So whatever corrections that has been done at the post-clearance unit, that is after clearance, we gather all those things to compile our reference price list.
Right. So as it stands now, this reference price list is still being put together because there are still people bringing in new items every day from different sources every day. Exactly. So you continue to build the database. Yes,
we continue to build it. The WTO requires of every member nation to at least within 90 days to review their database. In fact, WTO Secretariat goes into our database by researching, because a country like Togo, a country like Cote d'Ivoire can make a complaint against Ghana that some goods are passing into Ghana before being re-exported into Togo, into Cote d'Ivoire. Why? Is it because they are declaring something is happening there? So they can use all those things to check the evaluation process and the challenges involved as per the risk factor.
But that's a very interesting one, because talking about, so this is also to help countries check some of these issues, because there are concerns that sometimes products are shipped through other countries. I don't want to mention names, through neighboring countries, because their import duties are cheaper, and then people smuggle them into Ghana, then they can sell it cheaper than the person who imported it directly.
Exactly.
So are you saying this will also help check it from that angle as well?
Yes, it's to also help to check it from that angle. In fact, all member countries can make those complaints. Once your government is losing revenue, they can check all those things. That is what we call canalization and concentration, where government will be forced to make some particular goods that are being smuggled to pass through a particular point, so that at least they can be monitored and controlled. So when it happens that way, government will have to come in. You know, government is a representative of the country at WTO, and customs is the representative of the authority at WCO. So they all work together. In fact, they have a technical committee on customs valuation that deals with all these challenges. And it's an ongoing process. Review is allowed. That is why when the reference price list has come by the operations of the risk management framework, we are allowed to review even in the course of the implementation of the reference price list, because we have challenges. We have complaints from competitors. We have people who try to come with genuine invoices, and the rest now to actually debate us on the values we have produced. So by that, if we are, risk management is able to go through to authenticate the veracity of those invoices, then we are forced to review those values.
Right. So what would you encourage the public to do? Importers, I mean, seeing that we've made this introduction, like I said, there have been concerns. We've heard from Guta as well. They complain bitterly about these benchmark values and how they affect their pricing in the long run. So what's your general message to the public and the business community?
My general message to the public is that we are guided by laws. We are guided by rules, standards of the WTO. Article 17, Section 3 of our Act, that is Customs Act 2015, Act 891, empowers us to do some of these things. Internal administrative mechanisms are also allowed by us to use to regulate. It is the same people who will come and complain if somebody is not paying the right duty. So we are just helping them to actually be in business, so that A will not bring something at $1 and another one $5 and will not check why that difference.
Right.
So how will you be in business? You cannot be in business. And the fact that their record keeping is poor, we cannot accept everybody from going out for post-clearance unit, which is not fully tooled, or there are not many to cover the whole nation, to be able to go into their books to actually see what other than that would have released everything from the port. Then we'll go to post-clearance then they will take it up. But that is a lot. In terms of cost and benefit analysis, it will be very expensive. And aside that, we want to avoid 100% examination of goods. We are not happy. Physical examination. We are not happy.
Too stressful.
Too stressful. The staffs are not many to be doing that 100% examination. So we try to take the high-risk goods from the low-risk goods. So the low-risk goods are facilitated through clearance. So by that, they save costs when it comes to the clearance process. By the high risk, we concentrate on the high risk. And don't forget, the same competitors come to report other competitors in the business that something is going wrong. And we have feedback from the port as to deviations when it comes to examination, the shop collections, the offenses that happen in the port. We get all those feedback to try to use them as risk indicators to arrive as products so that we can align those valuations in those areas.
I appreciate the time here this morning.
Thank you.
This is Principal Revenue Officer, GRA Customs Division, Bilson Jadab Atagba, and we've been talking about benchmark values. He's encouraging us to use reference price list instead. He says that we've abused the term, so hence the education we've received this morning. Thank you once again for joining us on the AM show. Right, you're watching the show. We'll be back with more. Do stay.